I want to talk about High School DxD and its popularity, where the series is going, just a couple of different things. But I also want to make the sort of announcement that yes, I will be still doing the light novel reviews. I will be doing more character analysis reviews on High School DxD, so definitely stay tuned for more of that. One of the videos that I'm planning is the Ravel Phoenix video. I've had some art done, so I wanted to add it to the video, so that's why I kind of waited a little bit, just so I could add that stuff into the new light novel reviews and also the character analysis videos as well. So definitely stay tuned for more High School DxD analysis content. But I also wanted to talk about where High School DxD as far as the series is right now, because I've spoken about it for many years, for many videos over the period of time, especially talking about season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and talking about the fact that I still do believe it is an inevitability, that it's just more about patience. And I see a lot of people kind of saying, oh, but the series is no longer popular, no one really cares. But I don't quite believe that. I think High School DxD is still very popular. There is still a strong audience out there. Yes, we have been getting the side story volumes, which has caused a bit of controversy, mainly to do with the fact that people were annoyed that this other author working on this other project of the High School DxD universe is putting more attention into it than what the main story is. The writer is clearly overseeing that stuff as well, making sure that it stays on track. That's been confirmed, I believe, unless my memory is kind of a little bit shady there. But from my understanding, it is being overseen by the author. And I do believe more main story stuff for High School DxD will happen inevitably. I do think the writer is probably going over a couple of things, especially to do with the mobile game that is still yet to come out. So I expect the writer's probably going over a lot of that final details, and of course the side story stuff. And my hopes is the other reason why things have been kind of slow is because, yes, there is plans for a season 5, and maybe all of that is kind of being worked on together. There's also the merchandise as well, which is kind of funny that High School DxD has gone into what people would refer to as the quiet phase, because people think that Season 5 is never going to happen, that everything's kind of died out, and there's no new volumes for the main story. But the funny thing is we've been getting more merchandise for High School DxD now more than ever before. Now, there has been a massive resurgence in merchandise, in my opinion, more so now than ever, with certain other series and games and everything. I mean, you look at, like, all the gotcha games that go out now, all the animes, like, it's all kind of bundled together. You're seeing a lot more merch and figures and all that kind of stuff, which just shows there's a lot more interest for these sort of anime gamey kind of stuff. Like, gotcha games are very anime kind of audience because of all the waifus and the animations and the kind of art style that goes into it. That's why there's a lot of easy crossover. So I definitely do think there is still interest in High School DxD. I just think it's one of those, when you add the whole virus situation that happened in 2020, you add in the author's health, you add in all these other announcements that we've had, you can kind of understand, at least I do understand, why the writer has been kind of radio silent for so long. And it's just one of those where, yeah, sometimes things do take a really long time. I'm still quite patient. I maybe say, like, in another 3 or so years, and I mean, that's just blowing it out a little bit proportion, maybe then I would probably lose hope. But I still have genuine good hope, just because of all the things going on indicate to me that there is still a large amount of interest. I mean, we've just had announcements of a couple of other animes that I recently spoke about on my old channel, where I said, yeah, this will get another season, and people were like, no, it never will, and surprise, surprise, it did. Now, for those wondering why I'm doing more of that stuff over here now, and kind of being a bit more selective, so that's why a lot of that stuff's moving over here. I personally would rather just do more content over here than anything else, and put more focus on this channel and build it up more, because I enjoy talking about anime stuff, and I just kind of feel like that channel kind of suffered due to the whole COVID situations, which the virus situation. So that's why I kind of had this new channel kind of spring it back up and get it moving, which has been doing great, just to be very clear. I do still have hope. And this is another thing too. The reason why I actually made this video is because I got a DM from a fan that was like, oh, look at this tweet they made, and there was so much interest, and their tweet just banged off because they were talking about High School DxD and one of the characters that I really liked, which was Zenobia. And I was just kind of like sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, this is my point. People still have a lot of interest in the series. There is still a massive demand for it, not just from the fan base, but from merchandise, the game coming out, the light novels. There's even a manga coming out for the side story volumes, which I do believe there is a chance that we could get a recontinuation of the mangas for the main story. I'm hopeful of that. I have seen some counter arguments, people saying, well, that will never happen because the main story is too far ahead. I don't quite agree with that, just because I think, again, there is always going to be an interest in some people wanting to read the mangas. And a lot of people like the idea of reading the High School DxD mangas because now you get to see the fan service. The only issue is that the anime is ahead of the manga, which is where the manga would have to put some time into it. I know there's also that counter argument of, well, what would they do? A new chapter, manga chapter every fortnight or every month? I think it would be every month, but I think there'd be decently sized chapters, not super big, but decent enough that you'd feel like you'd get something. Again, it's a hope, probably more than anything on that end when it comes to the manga. That's a little bit more of a fairy tale in my mind, so I can understand the pushback on that a little bit more. But I do still strongly believe in the anime itself and Season 5 inevitably happening. I have talked about the fact, and I may talk about this in a future video when I go over High School DxD anime through Seasons 1 through 4, because I plan to do a full breakdown video on that, because I do think that if High School DxD Season 1 came out today, there'd be a lot of weird, dumb drama, because there does seem to be a lot of hatred towards these kinds of series, and that is going to be for a future video, but I thought I'd talk about it a little bit here before I end the video, because I do think that is a topic that is worth discussing, that there is this weird influx in new generation of anime fans that are coming in that claim, well, I could definitely understand if someone said in the comments these aren't anime fans, because I would somewhat agree that they could be referred to as tourists or fake fans, etc., that have kind of interject themselves into the community, content creators or just consumers of the anime itself and not being content creators, that have interjected themselves into the community and are hating pretty much the vast majority of things that are in the anime community and labeling everything problematic in the hard P word because it just gets them some quick attention, and they just also don't care for the anime culture, Japanese culture, and just anime in general. They kind of want to force this whole mindless showman rubbish. Which, again, if you've watched my content, you know that I like my showman stuff. But I also don't think it's helpful that those particular fans are trying to hate on everything that isn't what theirs is. Again, I've always been open-minded that, again, you can like what you want, but hating on things is, well, you can dislike something, but trying to destroy someone else's enjoyment is where I think the destructiveness comes down to it. And I think that's why we are seeing this big increase in the community becoming very toxic. I just don't think it's very helpful. And I think it will become worse as time goes on, but I also think what it will do is it will create sort of an antibody effect where you're going to see more parts of the community gatekeep harder and kind of block out a lot of that issues in itself. Again, you can scream negativity and some people just say it's just constructive criticism. It comes down to the perspective, but I do think it is just toxicity in general, because I think some of these individuals aren't adding anything to the conversation as far as anime goes. But I think if you look at that and think that that's why some of these shows aren't going to get new seasons, again, the Western audience isn't the Japanese audience, and the Japanese audience still do have a lot of control over what does and does not happen. It's just also, the Western audience also does have a bit of an influence. Now, when you look at something like Solo Leveling, I think something like that is being heavily influenced by the Western audience, not so much the Japanese audience. So there is some change in the environment going on. But I would say to High School DxD fans, stay strong, stay positive. I still have faith. I know some people will be very negative on that and disagree with me. But again, I've been right pretty much most of the time when it comes to my predictions as far as new seasons go. Very rarely do I get them wrong, and I'm always open to admitting my faults, but it's one of those where I think it's just patience. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who is your favorite character in High School DxD from an anime and a light novel's perspective? Because that's one of the things about High School DxD, is I have a very different tier list when it comes to the anime and the light novel, mainly because, of course, the light novel has a lot more development. But you'd be surprised some of the characters that really blossom and really shine in the light novels. And that, of course, is hinted to my Ravel Phoenix video that will be coming out at some point, hopefully soon. So again, love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.